So I'm going to be asking each speaker one question each, because I know we have so many questions, over about 24 questions now. So one question each per speaker, and then a final question just to close the panel session. Now, we only have about 20 minutes allotted for this panel discussion. So I'll really appreciate it if we can keep our answers very brief, straight to the point, considering that we still have the Q&A coming up. So before I get to any of the panelists, if you joined us from the beginning, our very first speaker, Megan, shared a really beautiful and touching story about having a dream, going back on that dream, developing the dream and seeing it through despite all the challenges that came up. But we didn't really get a sense, because of time, obviously, what it was like being part of, should I say, the footmen, footwomen, the people who were involved in actually building the plane. So that aspect of the whole process, like Megan walked us through the beginning to the end. So I'm really excited that we have one of the builders of the plane here on this chat. Her name is Agnes, and she's been attentive all throughout. And what I just want us to get is, what was it like collaborating with other teenagers? How did you face what many would have called a daunting task? And what lessons can you share with everyone here?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Keamogetswe, Agnes, Seemela, and as you guys have heard, I was part of the 20 teenagers that Megan was talking about. And what it was for me, it was more for me of a learning experience, because I learned so much. You know, I learned so much about myself, not only about myself, about other people, you know, and about other cultures and traditions and stuff like that, because that group of 20 teenagers consisted of people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and different everything, you know. And we learned a lot of life lessons, you know. And I remember one of the lessons that I learned was to never give up, because during this whole project, we went through a whole selection process. And I remember that it was very difficult for me, because that weekend we had a family event, and I had to choose between Eugene and the family event, and you had to book a ticket on. Tickets had run out, and my aunt had forgotten to buy me a ticket, and I was quite bummed, and I was like, okay, it's fine, I'm not going. And she said to me, come on, so you're not gonna go just because you don't have a ticket, you know? And I was like, yeah, you know. And she pushed me to go, even though I didn't have it, you know. And when I got there, I finally managed to be part of this project, and that was one of the lessons I learned. Just because you don't have something doesn't mean that you can't do it. And just other people tell you don't have any limit. There aren't any limits to what you can do, you know. And I also learned a lot of things, you know, like I learned a lot of aviation terminology, and through this project I have like been outside of South African borders for the first time, you know. And I have for people out there is, don't limit yourselves, you know, like the sky is not the limit. You can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Give her a round of applause. And I think that also goes to all the speakers. I think it was so refreshing hearing that perspective of how not having that ticket didn't stop you from going through and following through with your dream. So thank you very much. We're really proud of all the collaborative effort. And that takes me to my next question, and that would be for Megan. So while the presentations were going on, I just decided, you know what, before I forget any of these questions, let me just take down some notes. So I went and I wrote down all my questions. So for Megan, it's how do you keep going when it doesn't make sense to go on? For example, you had your matric, you had the sad loss of your dad. Like anyone would have forgiven you if you had decided, you know what, I don't really have to go through this, or maybe I should just delay to just forget about all of this. So what kept you going?
Thank you so much for the question. I have a quote that says, if your why is bigger than your how, you will do it. So say, for example, you're stuck in a house that is burning and you're about to die. And your why is you need to get out because you want to live. That is your why. You need to get out. You want to live. Your how is not applicable. Your how is so small that you don't care how you're going to get out of this burning house. You just need to get out because why? You want to live. So I think that if your why is big enough, you will do anything to make it work. And that's the thing, is my why is to inspire people, to show people that anything is possible if you set your mind to it. And throughout this whole Cape to Cairo project, we were preaching to people, yes, keep going, you can do it, and everything. And then when it came to a tough situation to me, I need to practice what I preach. So I had to keep going. And that's the thing that I often say, is that often it feels like you can't go anymore. It feels like life has knocked you down so hard that you can't move anymore. But even if you just take that little step, there's a African saying that how do you eat an elephant is one bite at a time, or how do you climb a mountain is one step at a time. So as long as you just keep on going, just take those small steps, that will get you going. So definitely finding your why, because a lot of times people don't know why they're doing stuff. They're doing these things, but they don't know why they're doing it, so they just give up. And as soon as you've got a why, you've got a goal to work to, you'll make it work.
Thank you very much. If there's anything I'm going to take away, is that answer about how do you eat an elephant? I've never thought of it, but it applies to our goals. If we can break it down, and that's something you said in your presentation, break it down.
Yes.
Bite-sized pieces, and we just keep going. Thanks for reminding us about the importance of our why. So our next speaker, I loved her approach, DJ Switch. It almost reminded me of a teacher where they go through all the terminology. What is music? How do you use music? And for me, I just kept wondering, when she spoke very passionately about her love for culture and Africa, is how have you been able to use your work as a DJ, as a musician, to be an ambassador for the African continent?
I have a foundation called the DJ Switch Foundation. It's an NGO, and when I have 3 goals, from the Sustainable Development Global Goals, I have good health and well-being, quality education, and also gender equality. So to fight for these 3 goals, although I don't have any sponsors, for good health, I go to other schools here in Ghana, and then my team will buy lime, and then we'll go to other schools here in Ghana, and then I teach them. I let them know about how to stay hygienic, how to keep ourselves clean, and then for quality education, we ask ourselves questions, and then we ask the teachers there some questions we did not understand in class, so that it will be explained to us, and everybody who even had that question, not in that same class, will get the answer to the question. So, and also for gender equality, and I hope I get sponsors to organize workshops to fight for gender equality, because when I go to school and it's time for physical education, it's like they want to train the boys and leave the girls. Because like the boys are going for a match, so what about the girls? We also want to go for a match, but because all the focus is on the boys, they don't think about the girls. So fighting for gender equality, that's what I do in school, because I'm an entertainment prefect. When it comes to entertainment, when you come to the music lab, it's a girls thing. If you want to add boys, because you were doing PE and you were doing a boys thing, when you come to entertainment, it's a girls thing. Until you fight and you see that, yeah, we want to train the girls too and send them for matches. When you come to music, we want to add the boys too, and we'll do some shows in the school. But when I play music in school, and then I use it to motivate others because there are people who have this kind of, I'm shy, I can't do this, although I can do it, but like, I don't know how to do it. But with me, when I go to school and it comes to entertainment, to showcase your talent, I'll be like, you can do it. Forget about anything. You are not doing it for the person watching. Don't be shy, you are doing it for yourself. And after all, you will know that I did it and I did a great job. And when I go to other shows too, I use what I do as a DJ to speak into the lives of others, whether young or old. I tell you that it is never too late to achieve your dreams. Whether young or old, you can still achieve your dreams, because growing up, people were saying that, oh, Erica is going to be truant when she learns how to DJ. She's going to be a school dropout. And I was like, people were saying that, oh, your dreams are too big. When people say that, I say they think too small. So I use what I do to motivate others, and I let others know that the word impossible is I am possible.
Thank you very much. I am possible. And I love how beyond your music, you're turning your life's mission to achieving some of the SDGs, and that came through in your presentation. So well done. And we can continue to use our talents to make the world a better place. So I'm going to move to the next speaker who was after you, and that was Richard. And Richard, well done with the filmmaking. But I think some people will be wondering that, you know what, you've arrived, or like we'll say, you've achieved a certain level of success. And people want to know that, how do you keep pushing yourself? How do you keep going to the next level? Even when people would have said you've made it already, you can already sort of like tap yourself on the back and just chill because you've arrived.
I think changes are constant and you can't stop growing. So it's better I reach the peak, which I don't think a peak exists. So you see, people look at you and they see your present stage. If it's higher, they mean like, yeah, that's where I'm going to keep up. No way. You can't just stay somewhere. You have to walk towards getting to a stage where you're unbeatable. Like, you know, when people actually start businesses, they're actually very low, and you have to grow. And it's if you have grace that you can actually grow. But when people say that kind of stuff, I always think the opposite. I actually have a long way to go, and I will do anything I can to be able to attain my goals the best way I can. So personally, I think there's still a long way to go in filmmaking, and the perfect mindset towards filmmaking is a mindset where you say you have to become the best filmmaker in the world. That's the most advisable mindset. So personally, that's what I believe. I can become the best. And if I say I can become the best, there are lots of people ahead, like Steven Spielberg, and lots of film directors and film producers. So I think I have a long way to go. I think our team has a long way to go, and we believe if we put our mind to it, we can achieve it, being the biggest filmmakers in the world globally. Yeah.
Thank you for that answer. Definitely, we all have a long way to go, and the success we achieve is just an encouragement to the next level. So we had a beautiful performance by Ellie. Some musicians and people will be wondering, how did you find your voice as a musician, and how have you been able to stay true to your sound, considering that the kind of music you do might not be termed as mainstream? People call it alternative music.
Okay, the honest truth is it took a while to actually realize what exactly my sound was. And you know, living in Nigeria, there's a way people expect you to sound. So they either want you to either sing in your native dialect, or they want you to, you know, just basically sound like an African. And I grew up listening to different kinds of music. I don't think there is something I haven't listened to. Even if I might not like it at the end, like I would definitely listen to it just to find out how it sounds. And to be very honest, I didn't take it personal when people felt, oh, her sound is alternative, or her sound isn't so black and, you know, native and everything, because I was kind of surrounded by people who kind of had the same sound. So I wasn't really looking for validation anymore. I didn't really care as much as I would have. So what what really helped me was the fact that I kind of valued myself to the point where I could surround myself with people of like minds and not compare myself to other people. So in the space where I have an alternative sound compared to other people, I honestly just remind myself of the reason why I'm doing this, the reason why I am me and not the rest of the world. So that's kind of what keeps me going. People around me and me just constantly reminding myself that that's just who I am. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Definitely staying true to yourself, and it does take time to find who you are, how you sound, what you do. So please stay true to that journey. I'll be moving to our next speaker, and that was Vanessa. Great presentation. And when you were speaking, I just started thinking about some of the things we read online where people say that climate change is not a third world problem. It's a problem of the first world. Africa has to deal with issues of poverty and hunger. But as you have rightly pointed out, if we don't deal with the issue of climate change, then these problems, we won't be able to solve them. So beyond holding the people responsible, the global leaders, say the people in Davos, Switzerland, that gathering, which very sad to see how you experience some form of racial discrimination in being cut out of the picture. But how can we bring it home to Africa? How can we make the next African understand the gravity of climate change? And more so, how can we hold our leaders responsible for this huge, huge problem that is facing the whole of humanity?
Thank you for that question. I'll answer the last question first. The best way that we can hold our leaders accountable is by demanding for the action. But then we cannot demand for action if everyone is not aware about the crisis. And that brings me to the first question. Many people in African countries really don't understand what climate change really means. Many of them don't understand the connection between fossil fuels and the climate crisis. So it brings me to a point of climate education, and I'll speak from my own perspective and what I've done in regards to that. So in my activism, I hold sessions where we go in schools and speak to students. This is because in the African setting, it is hard to get students to walk out of school, to do a march or to do a strike with you. And it's understandable because of how the parents raise their children in Africa with the mindset of, without education, you cannot survive. Okay, education is good, but then we need to be more open-minded if we want to solve some of the social issues in the world. So in these sessions, I speak to students and I actually ask them questions and I literally get the answer from them. They explain why the environment is important to them and they realize everything that needs to be done for its protection. And also some other activities that I get involved in, reaching out to local communities, especially those in the rural areas where we speak to these people and we go with the intention of maybe cleaning up their communities, collecting plastic, and this gives us an opportunity to speak to the local people and to tell them about what is happening, to explain to them the danger that they face, to explain to them how uncertain the future is if you do not address the issue of climate change. So yes, Africa has quite a number of problems, but as I said, we will not be able to find solutions to those problems without addressing the biggest challenge, and that is climate change. You talked about poverty. Most of the people are being kept into a poverty trap by climate change itself. With the increasing dry spells, with the increasing floods, people are just being pushed into a poverty trap, and many of them don't understand what is causing this. When you look at zero hunger, what eradicates hunger? That is food. But climate change threatens the food sector so badly. And you find that many people have to survive on just a meal a day. Many people have to starve to death. Many communities struggle to get something to eat as a result of the distractions from the climate crisis. So the people need to be educated. They need to know that if they don't address climate change, then they'll continue living in extreme poverty. They'll continue living in impoverished communities. Look at what happened in Mozambique and the climate disaster that happened in 2019, that was last year, and many people's homes were destroyed. Literally the entire country was destroyed. So imagine everything that Mozambique had built for all these years, their economy, the infrastructure, and everything being destroyed by just one disaster like this, and taking back the country behind, and they have to start from scratch again. So you look at all these things and you realize that climate change is affecting every sector of the African continent. And the only way that we can get people to demand for this change is by teaching them and creating the awareness on our platforms, reaching out to those in the rural communities. And then for our leaders, we hold them accountable through the strikes that we do, through the actions that we do, because at the end of the day, what we have is the voice, and the leaders are the ones with the authority to take the decisions that we want them to take. Maybe the other thing is putting the right leaders into power. And how can you do that? That is by voting. You know, many times we speak about the right leaders, we endorse the right leaders, but we never actually do the voting. So we actually need to go out and vote for those leaders if we want to see the change that we are demanding for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that comprehensive response. I'm looking at the time. We want to be finished in the next 16 to 17 minutes. So I'm not going to be able to take as many questions. I implore the speakers to keep their answers as brief as possible, because we need to wrap up the panel discussion, move to the Q&A, and still have a word from our founder and host, Mercy Akamu. So very quickly, my question to the penultimate speaker, that's King Na. Thank you for the motivational talk. What message do you have for teenagers who are not measuring up to the expectations of their friends, their family members, the people they're trying to impress on social media? And I'm going to also ask my last question so that Dune can also be thinking about his response, and you'll answer immediately. And Dune, thank you for the great concise presentation, and it's inspiring to see how from a young age you've been following your dreams and getting recognition. But how can we use our photography beyond just social media? So a lot of us have camera phones. What else can we be doing with our photographs? King, over to you, and then it will be Dune.
Well, to answer that question, I'd just say to teenagers and different people who are marketing themselves on social media, the biggest thing that you cannot really focus on is what other people may think about you. If you're not measuring up to your friends' expectations or your parents or other people who may be watching your expectations, then that's the more you're going to let it drag you down and make you feel upset. The person's progress that you have to compete with is yourself. So if you feel like you're doing good marketing what you're marketing, if you feel like you're doing good promoting whatever it is that you're promoting, then genuinely you're doing good. See, people are going to be more attracted to what you're doing when you're attracted to what you're doing. If you're trying to impress everyone and please everyone, then you're just taking away from yourself more. If you put more into yourself and market that, people are going to be in love with you genuinely. So they won't worry about what you post or what you do. They know that that's coming from you. So the more you try to impress other people, then the more you're taking away from your brand. So I just say to not worry about what people are thinking so much, and worry about what you're thinking. And that's all I have to say to answer that question. Thank you.
Don't worry about what people will say. Very good. Just stay focused. So over to you, Dune.
Yeah, I think that like kind of the main point that I was trying to get across is regardless of kind of like your own recognition or any, you know, personal gain that you get from the photography as a media, the main power of photography lies within representation, or the power to represent. So that representation can be of yourself and your communities, or that can be of any community, as long as it's done honestly and authentically and with respect. So the thing that I find that photography is definitely it's the media of the future, because now because of apps like Instagram, apps like Facebook. I mean, Instagram is pretty much the most used app on earth, and it's a completely image-based sharing service. So if you as a human being, or you as a person, is trying to get a message across about something you're conscious of, there is no more, in my opinion, effective way to translate that messaging than through images. Like if we were seeing what's happening right now in America, for example, with the protests, for me at least, my number one kind of like stream of media is from people that I know that are at protests currently, posting on Instagram. And I think that, yeah, like I said in my talk, that the power of representation is really the hidden kind of like power through photography, is its ability to represent. So yeah, that's answer that question.
Using the tools at our disposal for proper representation, especially in a world where a lot of the continent is misrepresented. The onus is on us to be more responsible, even with what we might just do for the fun of it. So I'm looking at the time. We have only about 8 minutes for Q&A. I can see about 33 questions. There's no way we'll be able to go through all of this, and I don't want to be partial to any of the questions, but what I will advise is that all the speakers have access to the question and answer box so they can respond. You can also send an email to us. The email address has been shared on the chat box, and that way the questions you haven't yet that haven't been answered will be answered later on. And of course, there's social media. Some of you are asking for the social media handles of some of our speakers. If you go to the Instagram page or Twitter page, while we shared their individual posters, you'll be able to get their handles and engage them directly. Let's remember to be courteous and respectful. But I think in using the few minutes that we have, I'd just like for everybody in a sentence or two to just leave us with, I was going to say 2 things actually. The first thing is 3 words that you'll tell your older self. And the second thing is 1 word. Not 1 word in just a word, but 1 sentence for people to just take away, like your take-home word, so to say. So if you can do that, 3 words to your older adult self, because I know some of us here are not teenagers, and that 1 word, that 1 sentence for everyone to take home. Just wrap it all up. So I'll start off from the back. So I'll go with Dune. So Dune, then I'll go to King, and we'll count it down till we get to the first speaker.
I think my 3 words would be make great work. There really is nothing more valuable than making good work. In my opinion, that's the thing that puts you across. There's like 10. There's no way to cut a corner in terms of getting recognition. It's making good work. And then what was it? Was it 1 word in terms of
just 1 sentence, wrap it up. That go-to sentence, so that people can, like a summary. 1 sentence though.
The thing is that your youth is, as many people think, is some type of hindrance. It's absolutely not. It's something that you'll never get back. It's the most valuable tool you have at this moment. And I've seen a lot of questions asking me about the photography and how to kind of progress. If anyone wants to send me questions directly through my Instagram, I answer a lot of DMs, but just make sure to follow me because of the way that DMs work. I don't get any DMs that aren't people that are following me. So yeah, it would be just making good work and using your youth to your absolute advantage. That would be it.
Thank you, Dune. Over to you, King.
I would say dream without fear, and life is a refrigerator. It only has what you put in it. So keep putting in positive things and keep putting in hard work so you can take that out of life.
Great. Vanessa?
Yes, I would say that find the challenge and that problem in your community that you can resonate with and provide solution for the challenge, because we are all on this planet to give solutions to the problems that people face. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellie?
What would I tell my older self? You're doing it. You're doing it. And if I were to just sum everything up, is you have everything it takes to be everything you want to be.
Thank you. And Richard? Richard, do we still have Richard here? Okay, we'll move swiftly to DJ Switch. DJ Switch.
Yeah, what I would tell my older self is to be myself. And I would say that we should all be ourselves in whatever we do, whatever choice we make, and we should know what we are doing, and it's never too late to achieve your dream. As I said, the word impossible, it is impossible, and giving up is never in my dictionary, so never give up.
Thank you. Can we have Megan? And right after Megan, it will be Agnes.
Thank you very much. What I would tell my older self is I can. Never to doubt myself and know that I can do it. So whatever project I want to do in the future, I can do it. And just to know that I will be able to do it. And then this, the other thing is, one sentence is a motto that I follow is, if you don't like your results, change your actions. Because so many times people are complaining like, oh, it's this and this and this, but it's the actions they're taking, it's the choices they make that get them to where they are today. So I also have a thing that says reasons or results. You can either have the reasons or you can have the results. You can have a million reasons why things aren't done, or you can have the results. Yes, this stuff is going to happen, but you have to get past those obstacles to be able to get your results, because nothing comes easy. So that's my last message.
Thank you very much. And finally, Agnes, in 1 minute.
So something I'd say to my future self is keep on keeping on, because I feel like consistency is important, especially in trying a lot of things. And something I'd like to say to people out there is let your dreams be bigger than your fears, your actions louder than your words, and your faith stronger than your feelings. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautifully summarized. I'm going to hand over to Mercy Akamo, the host. I know she has some questions to answer and to be closing. And really thank you everyone who has been a part of this. It's amazing to see how many people who have started and have stayed through till the very end. So a big thank you, and it's been my pleasure moderating this session.
Thank you so much, Isabella, and thank you so much all our speakers. That was beautiful, like really, really, really beautiful. Before I actually do my closing, I just want to answer a couple of questions that people have I've actually asked in the Q&A box. I think it will only be fair to answer some of them. Some of them have actually been directed at some speakers. Only thing I want to ask the speakers, our beautiful speakers, is definitely timing. So just think about maybe using like less than a few seconds to answer the questions I'm going to ask you immediately. So one person did ask a question on, I think it was to Megan and Agnes, that you built the aircraft. Was it not expensive? And was there no pressure? Something about, wasn't building the aircraft expensive? And when the pressure was dropping, were you scared? That's actually for Megan and Agnes. Just answer in a very short way.
Yeah, definitely. The project was extremely expensive. I know, like, building an airplane is not going to be cheap. So building the plane was extremely expensive. We did do our very best to get sponsors on board, but they were very limited. But companies like Execujet really helped us a lot. The rest we had to do ourselves. And my dad had a really big part in being able to do that. And whenever we got worried, he said to me, don't worry, Megan, it will all work out in the end. And it did. So even though we did get scared, it didn't stop us from achieving what we wanted to do.
Thank you, Megan. Okay.
And I also think that the fact that we were together, it also made things easier, because whenever we felt like we needed a sense of comfort, we're always there to comfort each other and to motivate each other and to push each other to keep on keeping on and moving forward with the project as well.
Thank you very much, Agnes. Thank you. So someone asked, I think this was directed to Ellie, do you write your songs yourself? Please keep it short.
Yeah, that's a very simple question. So yeah, it's going to be short. Fact is, yes, I do for now, because till I have need, yes, I write my songs myself.
Thank you, Ellie. So this is for Richard. Did you ever think of giving up when you realized that you did not have enough pretty much good equipment? Did you ever give up on the comedies you made and you made people laugh? How did you push through? And how did you become a great filmmaker? Make your answer really short. Thank you. I don't think Richard is here. Okay, so I'll just move to the next person. Next one is something about acting. So I'm going to skip that. Okay, then the next one goes to, I think, Megan. The person said, how do you cope with criticism when you started building the aircraft? I felt like you answered that during your talk, so I don't think you need to answer it again.
I just have something quick to say. I'll say it really quick. Is something I've learned is other people's opinion of you has got nothing to do with you. And a thing to know is life is about balance. You're going to have 100 raving fans and 100 raving haters. Life is all about balance. So you're going to have the people that like you and the people that dislike you, and that's all about the balance. And the thing that I said, other people's opinion of you has got nothing to do with you. It's their opinion. Let them have it. If they want to have it, then so be it. So that's what keeps me going.
Thank you very much. The other question is something about advocacy. As a youth leader and an advocate for global responsibility, I would like to put a challenge. Okay, I think it's actually for as regards the COVID situation. That might be a bit long to respond to right now. I think this is for Dune. As an aspiring photographer, how was Dune able to, this is the person saying he's actually an aspiring photographer. How was Dune able to take his photography to the next level? I feel like Dune answered this in his talk where he spoke about, constantly being authentic with his documentation. Dune, am I right?
Yeah, that's perfect. I think just one small thing would be just do as much as you possibly can. Work all the time. I worked practically free for the first 2 years. I would just do anything to get onto set. I would do anything to make work. So just open yourself up to make as much as possible, and then obviously do it authentically.
Okay, and someone said, thank you very much, Dune. And then someone asked, Vanessa, how were you able to promote your activism in Africa? Please keep it short. Thank you.
I was doing that by using social media, especially Twitter and Instagram. I would post every photo from the strikes that I would carry out.
Okay, so I think I'm going to stop with the questions now. If you have any question that you felt was not answered during the entire talk or the entire session, please send the questions to us at africateenscity@gmail.com. And if it's directed to the speakers, you can follow them on Instagram and on Twitter. Some of them have shared their social media handles on the chat, while others, we have actually tagged them on our social media pages. So you can just go and just, follow them there directly. You can even go to our website and just check out, their social media pages from there. But overall, this has been a really, really, really good summit. Every single speaker delivered their talks excellently well. It was really, really, really good. I want to say a very, very big thank you again to, I'm just trying to ensure that everybody, okay, yes. So I want to just say a very, very big thank you again to every single speaker who accepted our invitation, and also every single attendee who registered and also attended this entire event from beginning to the end, even some people that had to leave. Thank you so much. This has been a fantastic time. One thing I'm just going to say, some people have been asking about the recording. So yes, we are actually going to share the recording after this event. So you can actually just go back to watching it and, get inspired. If you have questions that you felt, were not actually answered, you'll be able to just, go back and just double watch it. And overall, somebody asked a question about, is this going to be monthly? Is it going to be weekly? We'll keep you up to date via email of our next plan, which is really interesting. So one thing I've observed is that some people mentioned that they got email in their spam. So it would be great to move africateamcity@gmail.com to your main contact list. And your email is pretty easy to do. If you can't do it, please ask someone to help you do it so you don't miss out on our emails. And so, you're like, oh my God, I actually had no idea this is actually happening, because the next thing that we're actually going to share with you will be something that you really, really love. Overall, I'm so happy you were able to attend Africa Teen Summit Virtual Edition. Even if, because of the pandemic, we were not able to meet live, the virtual experience has been phenomenal. Thank you to every single person who joined, and for people who asked the questions, for our amazing speakers, our amazing moderator. Thank you so much. And to our partners, Freeworld Integrated Solutions, and also Bella Ninja, every single person that even just tweeted or put out this entire event, and even currently just sharing on Instagram and on Twitter. Thank you so much for doing these. And when we actually put up our next email, we're going to share what next we're actually going to be doing. And we're going to ask you to send in a couple of things. So it's been great for you to keep up to date with us via our social media channels. And I feel this has really been a good one. And the plan and the hope is that after this entire event, I'm hoping that you are able to leave here inspired and also committed to, pursuing your dreams and achieving your dreams in real life, in your communities, even if it's through photography, even if it's through music, even if it's through activism, filmmaking, even if it's through aviation or writing a book or whatever you want to do. I'm hoping that you are actually able to fulfill these dreams, and that when you are even doing this and you actually need some people to spotlight you, come to us. We'll be glad to spotlight what you're doing, to scream about what you're doing, because the teenagers in Africa, around the world, definitely do not just have a voice, but they also have a huge gift in them to achieve and turn the entire continent, pretty much make it positive, and also increase what they call Africa Rising, for you to actually ensure that we continue rising forever and ever. So thank you all so much again. This has been really inspiring. And right now, we will all say bye to you. Thank you, amazing speaker. So right now, bye, and we'll see you real soon. Bye. So thank you so much, and have a fantastic time. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.